Hi guys, this is Dan from Magic Pachinko Restorations with another short video of a vintage pachinko machine. If you enjoy these videos, I would certainly ask that you would subscribe to the channel. I actually got a notification from YouTube the other day that I can do whatever they want me to do to try to make some money off the website or the YouTube channel. I've talked to some other people and they say, well, I don't know about that. Who knows, but hey, it's worth a shot. So thanks for supporting me, really appreciate it. MagicPachinkoRestorations.com is the place to go to get a lot of information, certainly on restorations, and that's the best place to contact me. If you do contact me, please look for a 585 area code calling you back, because I will call you back as soon as I get the notification, which I believe is instant. I think as soon as you hit the site, I get an email. Okay, so this is a 1975 Sankyo pachinko machine. This particular machine was in really rough shape when it came to me. We opted for a full restoration. It really, really needed it. A lot of problems with this machine, and certainly overall I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. The frame had absorbed a tremendous amount of water. So this lamination had fallen right off. This frame had just opened up. All of this had to be glued back together to get everything back together. And unfortunately, when a machine gets into that kind of moisture, all of the metal parts that are in there will rust. And one of the biggest problems that I had is there's wires that hold this rail down to the board, and they go through the wood and get pinned down the other side, and they rust. And when they rust, they do not want to come out. And I've got a process for getting the rails and the wires out that has worked well for me over time. But when you run into a machine like this where they're really heavily rusted, like I said, they don't want to come out. And what they'll do is they'll either break the wire itself, which is preferable, or they'll actually, when you're pulling to try to get them out, they'll actually, if this is the rail, there's a little hole right there that wire goes through. It'll actually pull right through and break that hole out at the bottom. So that's what a number of these did. Fortunately, their placement was such that where, like they're up in here, there's the end of this one got broken, but it's captured by this. It was fine. I did put a nail here to keep this one over where it belongs, and a couple of the nails along here. Got everything back in. Everything worked out fine. This is not the original playfield. The playfields on a Sankyo are actually printed on the Formica, so they don't scrape off. So we had to repair the board. Once all of this came off, I had to do a lot of repair work, fill a lot of dips and holes and all sorts of stuff, get the boards super smooth. Then I had to make a tracing of all of the holes, and then you put the new playfield on and then put that tracing on top of it and poke all the holes in the new playfield to line everything all back up. So this machine was very labor intensive, certainly on the front. The aluminum bottom tray and ashtray cleaned up really nicely. The rest of this cleaned up quite well. We were able to get this frame all sanded down, polyurethane, looking good, the backboard, so on and so forth. The actual plastic of the machine was not in bad shape, and that cleans. This did not have any kind of lighting on it at all. The only wires that were on this had been cut. So I rewired all of this, and I should have left this turned around. If you notice here, there's 6 segments here, and I don't normally like to add lights to a vintage pachinko machine. Vintage pachinko machines will have one light in a corner for ball out and one light maybe here or here when you get a jackpot. My own personal taste, that's the way I like them. I know other people who restore that will add lights to them. I certainly have talked to any number of people who have added lights to their machines, You want to add lights to your machine, go right ahead. You know, it's your machine, whatever turns you on. I just particularly like the original look. However, on this particular model of the Sankyo, I've done this to many of these machines. What I do is I cut balsa wood blocks and put them in back on the back side of this whole trim piece, and then I wire in 3 LEDs. So when the jackpot light comes on, that's what it looks like. So each of these segments have 3 LEDs. Unfortunately, you can't really see the blue one. It's kind of down below, but that's much nicer than just having one light light a small section of this segment. So I like doing that. I think it looks really nice on this particular machine. Okay, so with doing that, normally this is not positive negative sensitive. It's a DC circuit, and if you use just regular DC bulbs, it doesn't matter. When you do use LEDs, they are dependent on polarity. So I had to make sure that when I wired this, I got the right wire going to the positive and the correct wire to the negative, because if you don't, they won't light up. And if they don't light up when you're doing troubleshooting, it'll drive you nuts, believe me. Certainly talking from experience. So usually when I do the videos, I have them empty. I just got set up and ready to go and forgot to empty this one, but you would want to make sure, this is by default, this is the, whoa, sorry about that. This is the ball dump right here. This would get pushed over, and then all these balls would drop out of the machine. That's the ball dump. All you want to do is make sure this is over. By default it is, but you also want to make sure that these white legs right here are actually riding. Oh, I just noticed something I got to do. Whoa, this doesn't have a upper track cover. I just noticed that. I'll have to make an upper track cover. So you want to make sure that these are caught so that the balls do ride across them and go into the jackpot. So this is properly filled. Most all of the balls that you have go into the upper hopper. It fills this feed track into the turnaround, this feed track into the jackpot. The other thing you want to be aware of is the seesaw. The seesaw is this clear piece in here. It's got 2 balls trapped inside of it. You want to make sure to start that it's at an angle like this, not an angle like that. If it is down like this, you simply push up on this little plunger and it'll tip the seesaw off where it belongs. You will need something that's wide enough to catch a ball from here and here. This is where the balls exit the machine. So this is ready to go. So we'll just launch some balls and see if we can get some wins. So we got a couple of wins there. The way that this is supposed to be set up is that when the ball goes down through the middle, if it stays on this side, it'll open these 2 tulips. If it goes down on this side, it'll open these 2 tulips. Unfortunately, on this machine, with it being as old and warpy and tough to put back together, these 2 tulips don't work the same way that these 2 do. In other words, if a ball goes in on this side, it tries to open these 2. It's just not set up. And I tried to readjust the tulips, get them in the right spots so that they would open. And then I found out that I was actually screwing around with the inside of the tulips unknowingly. And then so I had to go back and try to get the tulips just to work the normal way. So rather than trying to take it any further and make it worse, these tulips work fine, these tulips work fine. These will open if you go down through this side. Unfortunately, they don't open when they go down through this side. But from a playability method, it doesn't really matter. It just never fails when you're trying to show somebody the wins that doesn't want to win. But as always with any pachinko, when the tulips are open, you get a much better shot at it. So that's what it's supposed to do on that side. Unfortunately, it's just sticky enough on this side. It doesn't want to do that. But these tulips are functioning. They work properly. So now that we've got the tulips open, you get a lot more wins. So that's the 1975 Sankyo with the extra lights on it. Hope you like it.